Also this morning, it seems like you may have noticed this. We're seeing a slightly different Donald Trump running for the White House these days. He's relaxed. He's relaxing his style a bit. He's actually also adjusting some of his approach to policy. As you know, his numbers in the polls have been going up markedly across all groups when it comes to Hispanics, African American, women, lots of increase. And now he is making some slight changes.
And you may be wondering, what's behind all of that? Well, there are plenty of undecided voters out there in key states, and he would certainly like for them to come over to his side as he builds his new plan that he's going to reveal at next week's GOP convention. So here to lend some insight in all of this is Robert Bluey, president and executive editor of the Daily Signal. Good morning, Robert. So good to have you on Morning on Merit Street.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me today.
Anytime. Okay, so let's just sort of pull back the curtain. What are the highlights of Trump's new 2024 plan, and will his base be on board with it?
Sure. Well, every 4 years prior to the Republican National Convention, the party gets together and adopts a platform. This year's platform, as you've indicated, it has very much Donald Trump's stamp of approval on it. In fact, Trump himself went through the 16-page document and made many edits. You can tell that he made those edits because there are words that are in all caps, which is a signature Trump style. And there are certain policies that he's really putting an emphasis on. I mean, not surprisingly, immigration first and foremost, bringing back American prosperity, cutting down on crime, some of those hallmark things. But then on some of the more controversial issues, same-sex marriage and abortion, you see a change in the platform different from what it's been for previous presidents, almost going back 40 years, particularly in the case of abortion.
Very interesting. And yes, people are starting to talk more about some of those slight differences and changes. You know, you mentioned earlier the key elements in terms of getting to those independents, also getting to the crucial swing states. How does the Trump plan address voters, particularly in those swing states?
Absolutely. Well, we know that there are 6 or 7 states that will most likely determine the outcome of the election, and they're not surprising. I mean, this was the same case for 2016 and 2020. You have Pennsylvania, you have Wisconsin, you have Michigan, you have Georgia, you have Arizona, states like that. And in a number of those states, you have working class voters who, in many cases, were traditional Democrats. They voted for people like Joe Biden in the past, maybe Barack Obama, but they have become disillusioned with some of that party's policies, particularly as it's catered to more of an elite crowd in New York and Los Angeles. So Donald Trump is making an effort to make an appeal to them.
So Trump is trying to distance himself from the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, denying any connections to it. Can you explain what that is and why he thinks parts of it could be harmful?
Sure. Well, Project 2025 is a coalition of more than 110 conservative groups that have come together, as they have in past presidential election cycles, to put forward an agenda and help with personnel recommendations for the next president. So in many cases, this is nothing new. It happens on the right, it happens on the left, and that's what's happening this time. What you see, I think, in the wake of the disastrous debate performance by Joe Biden is an effort to try to tarnish the reputation of Project 2025 and some of the policies that are included in it. So even as early as this morning, Donald Trump has come out and said that he will set his agenda for the next administration. He's not going to let anyone on the outside dictate what those policies are. And so I think that that's what you can expect. I mean, he is a president who has his own agenda called Agenda 47, and he's going to stick with that. He may pull ideas in from the outside, but it's ultimately his decision to make.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. That's what we have come to expect from Donald Trump. He has his own mind, and he's going to set his own agenda. So, Robert Bluey, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Anytime.